you're doing is great. Then people started pouring out their problems.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so I've never been alone, and whatever is going on in the community, people don't have a safe space.
As someone who has had lived experience, how is working in that sector? What do you face? What do you wish would have been different for you? Or
I always wanted to do something that gives back to community. I knew that as a young child. Late nights for me are not a big deal because I love the job, but I also live it. And so I texted Jeff Konyange. He got back to me, and I was on his show just like that.
oh my God,
You know, I tell people that I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah.
I am an advocate for you to go talk to a psychologist. And also I realized that the way people show up for you isn't the way that you would show up for them. The fear of you doing greater than me is very, very much embedded in the African culture. And I'm sorry to say that.
We don't want to sound like when you meet your friend or your mom or your dad, they're like,
that's not true.
Was that you? For people to know that even in the fear, someone is doing it.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it's not easy to say I've survived multiple suicide attempts 11 times.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about being a woman in leadership I think we all need to carry is being also willing to learn from people. Actually, you've taken me back to that moment. Yeah, because I was so frustrated and I was like, to make difficult decisions, you have to have difficult conversations and they have to happen. Just be yourself. In anything that you put your mind into, don't lose yourself.
I just...
You
froze. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Before Breakthrough Conversations. This is a place where we bring you women who are building, who are trusting, who are in the thick of it, figuring it out, but more so thinking about more than themselves and what they'd like to leave as an impact while still earning some money out of it. It's hosted by myself, Phyllis Mboro, and my partner,
Victoria Chebet, and I am so excited to be in this space because we are featuring women who are in the process of becoming, and becoming can look so many different things, and that's what we want to hear today. I'm going to let my co-host
introduce the guest.
Introduce the guest.
That's fine, Victoria. Thank you. Shiro Karanja, welcome. So I know Shiro from a different social circle. She is a Kenyan with another citizenship. Has spent most of her years in the US. So I'm hoping that you're going to kind of make sure that you spend more now here. I don't know how that's going to go. But over and above all, she's a global mental health advocate, very passionate about it. I watch her speak about it. It's very close to her heart. But I don't want to butcher who she really is. So I'll allow her to introduce herself. Shiro, take the stage.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wanjiru Karanja, but you can call me Shiro Karanja. Phyllis is lying. I know her through her husband. But yeah, we became friends through her husband, and we've been friends for quite some years now. And so who am I? I am a daughter, a wife, a friend, a sister, and a friend. But beyond that, I'm a global mental health advocate, social justice advocate, equity and equality advocate as well. And what I'm most passionate about is educating people about mental wellness and mental health all around, especially in our community. And I'm so excited to be in this space, to be able to talk to you guys about how my foundation came up and what I'm up to right now as well. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Victoria.
So, what would you like us to call you? I know you were talking about...
Yes, please call me Shiro. I like Shiro. Yes.
Okay. I also like Chebet a lot. Many people call me like Victoria sometimes, and I'm like, who's Victoria? But no, it's just Chebet. So you've told us that you have a foundation. You've not said the name of the foundation. Do you want to do that?
Yes, the foundation is called Clear Minds, Better Lives with a Z. Took us like 6 hours to come up with that name. And the story behind the name, we never were going to do a foundation. I wasn't looking to do that. I was looking to have an event in 2020 in the summer back in the States. Because a lot of Kenyans were dying by suicide. And the reception given by the community was they're a bad child or they were labeled things I didn't like. now going on to someone who's been through that, you know my story. I've had depression before, minor depression, clinically diagnosed, and then surviving suicide attempt multiple times. So having to see people who are in a community that I'm from and live in a different country, which is the States, and see how the community was really, really downing people. And I remember we were September 2019, I'll never forget, because we had gone out of town with my friends in Chicago, and we were at a concert, and you know, two of my friends got called that two young Kenyans, and this was in Boston and Seattle, one had attempted to die by suicide, so they hung themselves, but luckily they went to ICU and they're alive. Okay. And the other one died by substance abuse overdose, which is heroin. So for me, I was just like, no, we need to do something, because the deaths were piling up.
Yeah.
So it didn't make sense to me, and I was like, okay, let's do something about this. So I was like, okay, we'll do an event, educate people, and then tuendelee tu na life. Like, it wasn't something that I was going to do initially. So I remember it was on a Saturday, it was winter, and we're just looking for a name. We're going through, like, the UK was really, really bumming at the time with mental health. So we're looking for names. Is it Mind Over Matter? Every Mind Matters. Like, we're just looking at names, and we came up with Clear Minds, Better Lives with a Z, because we were just so exhausted. And then the name worked because, you know, you can say CMBL.
Yeah.
So CMBL just became the thing. And so when I realized that there was a niche or a gap is when we hosted a platform called Snap 254. So for Snapchat users, millennials will know this, because right now I don't know how Snapchat is. I don't use it anymore. So
I've never used it.
You've never used it? Yeah. I don't use it even as often. I have chats on there, but it was... So Snap 254 is a Snap account where if you're a Kenyan who lives in the diaspora, you can host for a day. Wow. So if I contacted the owner right now and say, hey, I'm in Kenya, I want to host and show Kenya or whatever. So I had talked to the founders of it, and I told them, let's do a hosting, because we're doing this thing called CMBL, and we want people to come to St. Louis, which is where I grew up in Missouri, to come and have the event and learn more. And we're giving the community the access. You know, we'd already started partnering up with, like, mental health professionals, like the government, like the state government. We'd done all that. This is 2019, November, right? Yeah. So I'm excited. So a friend of mine said to me, why don't you go ahead and lock in and register it as a company or a nonprofit, because you never know if you want this thing. And when we hosted and people responded, we had people from Australia, Europe. Oh, really? These are now Kenyans saying, oh my God, what you're doing is great. Then people started pouring out their problems. Yeah. And I was like, oh, so I've never been alone, and whatever is going on in the community, people don't have a safe space. Oh, wow. So CMBL began that way, and it was a really, really good time. I don't want to dive deep because I know you have questions, but that's the origin of CMBL.
That's great. So, sounds great starting it in the States, right? Yeah. Two questions. How has that been when you came back here? How's been the building while you're back in your mother country, number one? Number two, as someone who has had lived experience, how is working in that sector? What do you face? What do you wish would have been different for you?
Wow. That's a good question, because I think I live with that question a lot. I'll start with number two and then roll into number one. Yeah. As a lived experienced person doing this work, it can be, I think it was taxing in the beginning. It was really taxing because I was in therapy. And I'm also trying to figure out this world that to be fair, I always wanted to own something of my own to give back to the community. So take it back to when I was a kid, I was going to be a lawyer because I was going to fight for the people. Oh, then wow.
So American law. It's kind of connected,
yes.
You know?
American law, no, thank you. Then I was really good at maths, so I was going to be an accountant. That's what I signed up to do in school. Oh my God. Yeah, wow. You didn't know that about me.
No, I didn't.
Because I love math. Like,
I can see you as an accountant.
Yeah, I watch math videos to decompress. But then I was like, no. I want to...
Till today?
Yeah, till today. I'll watch like maybe a lecture or something just to decompress. Just because I became very in love with that. But then... I was like, no, I don't want to sit at that desk and calculate people's taxes or their life insurance. Like, I was like, no. And so I switched my major to international business and marketing because my campus didn't have international relations and I had a scholarship. So they were like, you can switch your major, but you can't go with this outside the school. So I did international business and marketing and mathematics. That's my undergrad degree.
Okay.
And so I think throughout life, I was trying. After college, I came to Kenya. I met Chris Kirubi, and I thought I was going to work for Capital FM. Chris Kirubi was a very, very great, like, kind man, but it just didn't work out the way I thought it would. And so, yeah, I've owned businesses that have failed. I've been in businesses that have failed, or just didn't take the trajectory I thought they would.
Yeah.
So fast forward to CMBL, I didn't know the thing that I've lived is what I would want to pour back to community. I never thought that, because to be fair, I wanted to do like a 114 foundation to give back food. I always wanted to do something that gives back to community. I knew that as a young child because I grew up very, let me use this word, privileged. Even in Kenya, I grew up a very privileged life.
Yeah.
So for me, it never made sense when I saw poverty. I was like, no, they need to be. It never made sense when I saw someone who wasn't in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so many things didn't tab for me. And I think the way the universe and God in this fact, like, they plan things, you find yourself. So I found myself in CMBL. And so doing the work is so, like, late nights for me are not a big deal because I love the job. But I also live it. You know, she'll tell you, like, I live it. Anything that I post, I try to live by that.
Amazing.
And so I decided I'm going to go to school, do my master's while I was building CMBL. So in 2020, I went to London and looked for a school, and I got into King's College London. And through that, I learned a lot about the global mental health now, because I didn't know mental health was a thing. And I didn't know WHO was doing all these things. I didn't. I just was in my little bubble in St. Louis, and people are dying by suicide who are Kenyan. Yeah. I didn't know it was this big thing. So then I began educating myself. So even I just didn't want to be lived experience Shiro doing the work. I also wanted to be educated Shiro, understanding the global need, understanding where it even comes from. You know, like, I'm a huge psychology nerd right now because it's taken me to that. So now that I'm a lived experience expert, but I'm also very knowledgeable in all these things. So now it's lighter for me because it's not just about me and what I've gone through in my little community. It's actually greater than me, and that's how I look at it. Number two, to your question about how building in Kenya is, thank you for asking me that question, because I think that I'm now figuring it out. We're now coming to that conversation. So when I even started doing CMBL in Kenya, it was February 2022. I came for the first time, and my cousin used to work in media. So I tell her, because I did a lot of speaking engagement in Europe. So I tell her, hey, why don't you, it's International Women's Day. I want to go to Jeff Koinange and talk to Jeff about mental health in women.
Oh my.
And so I texted Jeff Koinange. He got back to me, and I was on his show just like that.
Oh my God.
Well,
you know?
You texted Jeff Koinange?
Yeah, I did. And he was so kind, him and Nico Thiambo. And we had a good chat. We had like an hour chat on radio. And then I went to all these mental health expos that were happening at the Kenya Museum. So I got to have a lot of partnerships. And then another friend of mine who has a separate organization that does provide sanitary products for young girls who are in period poverty. My shosho was in Nakuru at the time. So I used to go to primary schools because, you know, her home base is Nakuru, but she's in Texas. So she said to me, I need you to go speak to these girls because I can tell beyond the period poverty issues, there's mental health issues here, and I need you to try and go and see what's going on.
That's
and so
true.
we started a partnership there where I would go talk to young girls about mental health. And I realized that there's a deep need for professional help. You know, I always try to tell people that I'm not a psychologist. Yeah. I am an advocate for you to go talk to a psychologist. I may have the knowledge that a psychologist does 100%, but I'm not licensed to. Yeah. And trust me, ladies, I would not also want to be, because it's a lot. Yeah. Like, just the question you've asked me, my lived experiences. Now, can you imagine a therapist is constantly and consistently listening to unresolved issues or whatever it is every day. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of work to do that. So for me, I think I advocate to education. I'm a huge advocate for education in this space. And
but,
so,
I mean,
go ahead, sorry.
I can imagine that in the work that you do, you encounter a lot of experience. Like people will feel to share with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling that, also feeling familiar with you. So how do you go about that? You know, because you say you want them to go to a therapist or a psychologist.
I think the best.
And on that note, maybe you can also talk about like the kind of support that you've experienced while building in Kenya.
Yeah.
So you can just,
into that.
segue
Okay.
into that.
So today, to go into now how I support people, and I'll bring it into the home ground Kenya and how I'm now building in Kenya. I think one of the things you have to really do when you move to a new market is study the market, because the way I may sell, and I'm saying sell very, I'm using it very loosely. The way I may introduce mental health to Kenyans in America or Kenyans in the UK is very different from how I introduce it to Kenyans in Kenya. I've realized how hugely stigmatized it is in Kenya. Yes. And I'm still learning that it's very hugely stigmatized. The reason I'm even working on rebranding CMBL now that I'm here indefinitely in Kenya is to really try and partner with the right people, learn from a lot of people. So even we're in the midst of rebranding. And so to bring on how, pause to that on the rebrand, on how people come up to me, I think the best thing you can do is create a safe space. So people will talk to me and tell me their issues, but very rarely will I give a diagnosis to the issue. I will listen and I'll be like, okay, I think this is what's happening. However, there's this certain therapist I can refer you to. Is that what you want? Also, you have to ask people what they want, because sometimes, even in friendships, you know this, in relationships, sometimes mtu anataka tu kuvent. Like they're not looking for a solution. They're not looking for you to just... to provide a fix. They just want you to be able to listen. Exactly. And so I think what I've learned is to listen, and also to ask, is it my advice you're looking for? Is it my venting you're looking for? And also I think I'm very honest with people. I can be like, I don't have capacity right now. And they'll understand that, because I'm a very open book. If you know Shiro does not have capacity, you know Sinobaya. I'm also a human being. I'm living my life, So it's really important. Now to your question, support. I think I get support by having really good community.
Amazing.
A friend of mine asked me earlier this week is, how can I show up for you? And I realized, this is Phyllis included, I've never told my friends this. I feel like my friends support me and call me and check in, and that's great. Yeah. But if you were to ask me how to support me as my friend, is to support my baby, CMBL.
Yes.
And how can you support that?
Point taken.
Yeah. And I don't say that to my friends because... I don't say that to my friends because Shiko will tell you, me, I will support. She called me and said, I'm doing the... I first of all was mad at her. I'm like, how did I not know about this? Because we've been friends for a while. And I was like, all right, I'm showing up. I'm coming. Because that is the kind of friend that I am. Mm-hmm. Whether you're going through it or not, that is the kind of friend that I am. And also I realized that the way people show up for you isn't the way that you would show up for them. And I have to accept that, right? So I'm in a phase of learning, how can you support me? Especially when we're talking about business, because it's great. If I'm having issues with a friend or my husband or life, it's so easy to say that I was there for you and we talked about it. But did you support me in the come up?
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Did you ask me what I needed in the come up? You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm not honest with that about my friends, and then I end up resenting them.
Oh my!
Right? You have this feeling. Yeah, you have feelings of resentment because your friends are not yet. How kuambia?
Yeah, they can't read your mind.
Yeah, they can't, and that's relationships 101, right? Even if we were to take it down a notch, even in business, I don't know why we're not honest about how to show up for our friends when they're building. And I think what is hurtful to me is that I know that you don't need to ask me to show up, because that is who I am as Shiro. Yes. But what I have to accept is that Shiko may not be like that. So I need to be like, Shiko, I need you to support that. And so even building in Kenya, there's a question you guys sent to me about I would advise someone to do in this state. And I want to preempt that because I was on my drive here. I thought about how fear has been one of the dominating things to even not make me fully rebrand CMBL. I've been afraid to fail. I've been afraid to take the step of like really do it. And I will give kudos to my husband because he's a lawyer. He loves being a lawyer. Like,
Oh, wow.
He loves being a lawyer. He's a human rights lawyer, and he has his own practice. And no matter what, he loves it. And the thing that he tells me always, I just want you to be doing what you love, whether you're getting money or not, because he knows there's purpose.
Yeah.
And not that we're not chasing money, but it's the idea that he knows what it is.
Yes.
Like he's seen me in my element.
Yeah.
And he's my biggest cheerleader. I even think he believes more in me than I do myself. And I know we'll tap into that a bit, but I wanted to preempt that question.
Yeah, I really, really want to go deeper into that support question. Just now I'm talking to you as the host, but also as a friend or someone who knows you outside these four walls right now. If you were to, this is the platform where I want you to tell us, tell whoever is listening, what kind of support would you need? Or someone who's building something similar to you, a foundation that has a purpose that's about people's lives.
Yeah.
From one, a friend perspective, two, from a systems perspective, like what the system should be like. And system here goes back to government, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to now, let's talk about the systems. Because that's really, in my field, what I see, the system is very, very difficult. Like, let's start from a global perspective before we even come into East Africa, right? Right now, Trump has cut down funding for a lot of things.
That's so
and
true.
mental health has been one of the biggest departments in the world that's been affected by funding. So now, unless me as Shiro Karanja, founder of CMBL, goes to a private funder, and asks for money, like governments are not giving money now. It's very, very hard. And that even who to give you support, WHO, it's even harder for them because now all the money has been trickled. You can imagine it's not just mental health, poverty, climate change. Everything has been affected, right?
Yeah.
So now you have a system that was supportive, but now it can be as supportive. Roles are very minimized now, like to find, and I realized I don't want to work for anyone at a very, very, maybe last year, I was like, I can't. Because I realized I like a healthy space, and we'll talk about that a bit later, being a boss in business or whatever. But just to see the system, now you come to the Kenyan system, and you realize that there's barely funding for mental health. To convince government to even give you access to do anything for mental wellness, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
Like they need all this weird certificates. And I say weird loosely because I'm just like, it doesn't work like this in America. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of barriers. And also the people in the community are also gatekeepers. I'm going to be honest about that.
Really?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've lived here longer than me. But what I've seen is that when I started CMBL, getting those partnerships with Gava to come support different institutions, we're just doing an event. We had 8 partners just like this within a week.
No,
we had
actually,
8 partners.
to be honest, when you were talking about how you were starting up and how successful it was, I was just thinking to myself, wow.
Yeah.
Really, that happens?
Yeah.
Because it's very different
very
here.
hard.
Yeah, it's here.
Very
And here there's a
different.
culture of like, well, I'm not gonna help Shiko and Chebet because
What about
because
me?
like, you guys know I have a podcast.
Yeah.
So you can imagine I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be a guest on her podcast because the fear of you doing greater than me is very, very much embedded in the African culture. And I'm sorry to say that. I feel like it's very, very much. And, off mic, we were talking about this, how people don't know how to support each other. And then you add on that we're women. We were taught how to compete from a very, very early age. How were we taught to compete? By if Chebet likes John and John likes Chebet, well, I'm going to not like Chebet. But it has everything to do with John. It has nothing to do with me and you.
Exactly.
Because John saw something in you he may not have seen in me.
Yeah.
But we were not properly taught that. And that is how competition was rooted in women. from a very early age.
And I feel one other thing that, promotes that is the fear of, like, it's not enough.
Yes.
The bread is not enough for everyone.
Yeah.
So we need to grab as much as possible for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because it's not enough.
And it's a very scary thing because, and I also feel like that's been my thing. I think coming in as a foreign Kenyan, I also don't want to be inauthentic to sell something. Because I've seen that. People sell they call it authenticity, but you see the inauthenticness in them. Like, I can come here and talk about what I'm talking about, alafu mnikute nje, and you're just like, this is not the Shiro that talked to us on the podcast. And that's not me. You know, I want to be true to myself, and that's really, really
that's
important.
So funny because we were talking about Phyllis, with Phyllis about the same thing.
Yeah.
That we don't want to sound like when you meet your friend or your mom or your dad, they're like,
that's not true.
Was that you? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's a very, very, it's a continuous learning space, and I want to be very intentional when I launch CMBL. I almost said the name. When I launch CMBL again,
like soft launch.
No, not ready yet.
Anyway,
and I'm looking forward to that. I know there'll be I can see the challenges ahead, and maybe a part of me is very just that I'm not good enough. You know, I'll give and I'll use the same sort of like strategic example I used. If John doesn't like me, I'm not good enough. So what is it about Chebet that
John
makes her good enough? And let me tell you, that thinking rolls into us in everything. In everything.
My goodness. It's
right?
like I'm having a lot of deja vu right now.
Yeah. And when you think
so
about
many
it,
times.
so I feel like no one tells us that how we thought as kids, how we were enrooted as kids affect our day-to-day lives as adults. They do. Even in business, it will do. It will.
That's true. I still want to stay there at the support part. And I just want you to list it. Like, you're rebranding CMBL, it's a risk you're taking. For the future and just to make sure that whatever you're building continues. If you were given a blank check and asked, what do you need as
what do I need? Yes, you did ask me this question. I'm sorry.
List it, tell us.
What I need. I think support, because you asked me support now from my friends. I think if I have an event, show up.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I need a fundraiser, pull up your people.
Yes.
If I'm sharing something with you about there's this workshop, share with your friends. And sometimes I may not, it's not just financial support.
Yeah.
It's like, also ask me. Niulize, hey Shiro, how can I show up for you today while you build CMBL? Like, Purity is really good at that. She's a very good it's a friend we know. She's very good at that. Yes. And even if you like, I'm the type of person, my husband and I recently gave a bit of investment to a cousin of mine who's doing her own business.
Yeah.
And I think we look at it that way. When you're symbiotic with your partner, it's really easy to be like, in this situation, I'll give you money. So if you have money, invest in your friend. Invest your time. Invest your resources. Invest your networks. Not just your finances. Invest yourself in it.
Exactly.
You know, I think those are the 4 things I would say. Your time, your resources, your networks, and your finances at the capacity you have to. That is how you support each other. And even women.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a business, Chebet, and I know for sure, you know, I texted a lot of women who I know. And I was like, there's this podcast coming up. Because
amazing.
Because I can't always
I love it.
buy their products, because I do, but I will support them come up. Like, it doesn't hurt me at all. So I also think while we support each other, we also need to have honest conversations of how we can unlearn what support looks like, right? So those are the things that I would say I need. Because sometimes, especially from a community of women.
I feel like I've just been schooled because, I mean, we're here talking about that thing, and I'm asking myself, but actually, as Phyllis, how do I actually do it? I think it also comes up with the conversation about boundaries when it comes to support, which we'll tackle another day. Today is just about you and Wanjiru. Victoria, do you have any other question?
I mean, one question I'm thinking about, even as you're building, is the risks that are involved in building. What are the risks you've taken? What are the risks you're taking right now? And this is tied to fear, a lot of fear that
it is.
we all experience. But we're here for that, like for people to know that even in the fear, someone is doing it.
Yeah.
And we want them to be inspired to know that you just do it in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because breakthrough is in the becoming. That's our tagline.
Yeah.
So it's important to know what risks you're taking, how you're handling it, how you're also thinking about the risks.
Yeah. Can I also talk about past risks that I think I took?
Yes.
I think when I started CMBL, I took the risk of being honest about my story.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
The day that there's a day I shared on Facebook, I'll forever be in therapy, in the school of therapy, because I need it. My mother called me immediately.
Oh, no.
Shiro, take it down. you know the reaction about, and I think in that moment, I wasn't ashamed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was like, because I had done therapy, I understand what therapy is. And just to highlight, therapy is not a fix. A therapist does not fix you. That's not what they do. They're a tool to help you, period.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be talk therapy. It can be music therapy. It can be whatever. Yeah. But therapy itself is a tool. It's a school, okay? But that's not, besides that point. So I shared my story publicly.
That's a lot.
It's not easy to say I've survived multiple suicide attempts 11 times.
Yeah.
That's
Have you been treated differently?
Of course, 100%.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
My goodness.
Number two, I risk moving to London by myself to do my master's in global mental health in one of the biggest colleges in the world. I had friends in London, but I think people look at me and they're like, oh my God, you're so courageous and brave. And for me, I'm just like, my parents have been moving since the 90s. Okay. We've been traveling since I was... So to me, it wasn't a big deal. Okay. But I recognize it was a big deal because I did it on my own. No help from my parents. Took out student loans because I could. But I survived that by myself.
Yeah.
And I lived through that by myself. And I created community by myself. So it's a risk you take. Because to me, I was like, I need to be educated about this if I'm going to be about this. If I'm going to be about this 24/7.
I love it.
Another risk, I think, when you're rebranding is trust. Trust is a risk because I had to hire interns during my master's. And you have to trust that they will carry out this vision, mission for you. I am a perfectionist.
Oh, yeah.
I am a perfectionist to the T. And so for me, I had to learn to trust. And it also taught me stuff about myself.
Yeah.
One of the things about being a woman in leadership I think we all need to carry is being also willing to learn from people.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened...
Is that tied to fear of...
letting go.
People thinking about when you're saying you need to, what you're just saying, is it tied to the fear of people thinking you don't know? When you say you want to learn, but you're the boss and you're
should have figured it out.
I want to learn from you
because you've been taught, right?
Yeah.
You've been taught as a boss,
true.
you know it all, but that's a lie.
Even from TV, it's not just being taught, but everything you see, even in the movies, it's like this boss has
figured it out.
But you see, what is the movie teaching you? That's what I'm saying. The movie is teaching you that the boss knows it all.
Exactly.
Which is a lie. I had employees in 5 different time zones, and I would just email at any hour. I felt like I had an idea because I'm a creative at heart. So they had a meeting with me, and they were so afraid. They had a meeting. They called a meeting. So we had a check-in meeting, regular meeting, and they were like, we need to talk to you about something. So they were very scared.
Wow. Okay.
And I thought I was very open when I hired. Like, you can always talk to me about anything. And I think they could. I just think that this was an issue they were having with me.
Yes.
And how do we bring this forth without her?
Yeah.
So
Feeling
they were
bad,
like, so we feel like you email a lot. And
I love it.
you email during non-business hours. Oh, wow. Some of us are sleeping. So I understood. When a person receives an email at 5 a.m. or even like 7 p.m., whatever time zone they're in, I'm the boss. So they have this anxiety in their head.
I still have
it. If I don't respond, if I don't respond, I'm in trouble. So I was like, first of all, I was like, I'm really sorry. This is what's been going on. Because I didn't know that that's what they were feeling. And we had to talk about it, and we came to a compromise.
Yeah.
Because I also have to be understanding that I can't just pull up and email you when I want.
Yeah.
So we came to a compromise. These are the hours I will email. Do not feel like if I email even a minute after this hour, don't email until set time.
Yes.
And that created a really good...
I love that.
Yeah. And it was a teaching point for me, because it's like, just because I'm the boss, it doesn't mean I can treat you the way I want.
Yeah.
Boundaries are beautiful.
Exactly.
I really love
Those
that.
are boundaries.
I really love that. So I've been an employee for most of my working life.
Yeah.
And I think I want to hear, as a founder, as a leader, what do you think so far from what you've learned, and just you as a person, what do you think are the most important qualities of a founder, of a leader, of a boss, of a manager, whatever?
All that.
Yeah.
I'm a
To-
quote
to
Simon
ensure-
Sinek. Simon Sinek is a really good leadership.
So we
A
used to read
leadership
it.
teacher.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, he's really good. The one thing he always says about a leader is to be a team member. You're part of a team. You are guiding the vision. You know me, I'm here to steer the wheel. In fact, I may be the engine. I'm not the one driving it. Because, I mean, CMBL was digital at the time. So I wasn't... I really, really hate editing, and I hate all that stuff. So they're the engineers of that. They're the ones driving to get the information out. My job is to just see how, does it look good? Do the words, does this okay, then you do what you get best.
Yeah. Right.
So one is to be a team member.
Yeah.
Team member.
What does being a team member looking like? Inviting your colleagues to feel equal, yet you're leading. And that's very, very hard for people. Because when people say boss, it's like, I'm the end all. Like, I'm the end all. But I realized with my team, they may have better ideas than I do. They're the ones who know social media way better than me, because I hired Gen Zs, that's
right.
You know. And they're the ones who understand how to make this information marketable. So you have to have humility. What does humility look like? Being willing to learn that you don't know everything. You don't. That's just like, none of us know anything.
Yeah.
None of us were given the manual book to leadership. You're just given tools.
Yeah.
So team member, humility, and also trust.
Yeah.
I said that even during risk. It's trusting yourself to be able to trust your team. And I think number 4...
That's a really big point on trust. If we could have more time, we'd expound on it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like...
So trust, humility, team member, and also creating a space where, like, the top doesn't feel it all. And I'll give you an example. I worked for a company called Mind UK. They're the biggest mental health charity in the UK. And when you walked into our offices, no cubicles, no nothing. So you never knew who the boss was.
Oh, really?
Like, if someone foreign walked into our office, no one would know who the boss is unless we may end up online or stuff. So we had the quiet zone, the friend zone, the work zone, team meeting offices, and of course being very Silicon Valley, like their nap rooms and things like that.
Right.
Because you have to understand that your team needs rest.
Yeah.
Needs break. I think however you create your space, make it beneficial to your employees. And we could dive down in that, but that's a long list.
Yeah.
But I think the number 4 I was trying to say is creating a space that feels like there's equity and equality accessible to everyone.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but I think I still want to understand something. When it comes to difficult decisions, so maybe like... running out of runway in an organization, or actually not having a lot of runway in terms of pain, or just something that's almost splitting the organization into 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever found yourself in that yet. And we can also imagine it. What do you think are some of the considerations to put in place? Because especially where it involves the continuity of a business, or it's black and white. There's no gray here.
Can you expound more on what you mean by splitting into 2? Like, give me an example of...
Like, for instance,
Yeah.
you have a section of your organization that thinks this is the way.
Yes.
And another section,
okay.
and you belong to one of those 2 sections. You're not neutral either.
Yeah.
Like, you also have your thoughts. What's
Who? That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
There's a time, so June is the LGBTQ month globally.
Yeah.
And myself, I am very liberal. I'm going to be very politically correct right now. Because I realize the audience we're talking to. So I'm very liberal. And who are my audience? The Kenyan community that's very anti this specific topic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was hard because also my Gen Z employees are very liberal like me. So we are welcome to talk about what are the mental health resources they need. And it was a very, very difficult, I had given them the leeway. So one time there was a post about surgeries and letting them have this, the surgeries that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I got a call from the head of the Kenyan community. I don't know if it was Boston or Atlanta. I'm in St. Louis. I don't know if this has been posted because I've given freeway.
Yeah. You're not checking everything. You're not micromanaging.
So I went and checked the post. And I checked the post and I'm like, oh my God, this is... I knew exactly the audience because even Asian Americans were not happy about this.
Yeah.
So these are I was like, we cannot afford to be we need to focus on mental health.
Mental health.
So I called a meeting quickly with my team. I was like, hey, listen, I've gotten a few calls. My own mom and dad called me. Because now my parents are also known in the community. It's spreading like wildfire.
Yeah. And knowing your parents, that's a
and
different...
knowing my parents, I'm a pastor's kid. That should give you enough ideas of what was happening.
Yes.
And so I took the post down because I took the post down. Then I had a meeting, and I said, I don't want any of you to be offended, but all of you have global South parent background.
Yes.
Japanese, Mexican,
Yes.
Kenyan. Like none of us have the origins of America, but we grow up in America, so I understand how the influence, and I got them wanting the voice of this community being heard because there are people in this community, and it was tough. It was a tough decision for me to make in that moment because I'm gonna disappoint these young people, but also I'm looking at it at like our target market isn't just these young people. It's also the parents who need to know why is my child dying by suicide, and I can't go on extreme liberalism.
You'll never get away
because I need them.
You need
They're
them.
still shareholders in this business.
Yes.
So it's hard. It's one of those whereby but I understood it. I think also, which is why I'm saying constantly learning. If you're a leader, you have to be constantly learning and constantly understanding your consumers. Otherwise, you can't just go with the in thing right now. Like if I'm selling organic baby products, I just can't think of like just a specific target of people. I need to consider them. So what am I putting in this product? It has to be any little thing. So I realized it wasn't offensive to talk about this community getting access to help. That wasn't the issue. The issue was a specific post talking about more of their needs as a community. So you see, I made the decision as a leader to delete it myself. I didn't even, and then I called them for a meeting and I told them, this is what has to happen and this is how it has to happen. But I did not forget to also validate their experiences and also say, hey, let's remove ourselves. Look at who your parent is. Go back to your parent right now. Go back to your grandfather and see how they think about this post. Because essentially, I was so stressed, guys. I was driving. Actually, you've taken me back to that moment. Because I was so frustrated and I was like, for me to get a call from the Kenyan director community of Boston, why? Like, how did he even get my number
My
to begin
goodness.
with?
Yeah.
So
the pressure.
And you can imagine. And CMBL was just national at the time. We were not global because I hadn't moved to London. I hadn't started doing international partnerships. So I was like, no matter what it is that you're working with, you have to consider your employees, your target consumers. You've seen often how CEOs come out and apologize. Because it will hurt one target. So we have to be really conscious about that.
That's what I'm taking home, actually.
Difficult
conversations.
And you have to have, to make difficult decisions, you have to have difficult conversations. And they have to happen. And I shout out to my team because they were also, the minute I said, think about the communities, the they were like, okay, now we see. Yeah, you can't also just make decisions and be like, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
You have to have honest conversations and also let them have the buy-in.
Yeah. Buy-in.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Final questions.
So, final 2 questions. So the first final question will be, what would you tell someone, a woman mostly, who is thinking about starting? What would you tell them in very few words? And then Phyllis will handle the last question.
Just be yourself.
Okay.
In anything that you put your mind into, don't lose yourself.
Wow.
Because that's when you become a bad boss. You become a
Yes.
toxic boss.
Become someone else.
Be yourself in it. And if you can't be yourself, then don't do it. Don't do it. Don't let something destroy your humanity and who you are for the sake of dollars or whatever. And it's easy to say that. You know, we could name a bunch of CEOs who we know are like that.
Yeah.
Because they don't stay true to themselves.
Yeah.
And what I'm really learning is I'm battling with that. The fear, the staying true to I don't want to lose myself. Do I want to be authentic?
Yeah.
You really have to have that conversation with yourself. And there's one person I shared with you, like I see her work. She does, restaurant reviews and she makes
I'm looking forward to
stuff
it.
at home. She's very like it's food, but you can just tell who she is oozes
Her
into
personality.
her personality oozes into her work, and I love
That's
that.
great.
I love that.
I
So
find it
yourself.
very, very beautiful when women are themselves. And they're doing that.
And for me, that's
too.
what I love. Like, and I always tell my friends, if I'm not being Shiro, doing my work, then let me know. Check me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we speak again in 3 years, but I'm going to speak to you tomorrow, next week, a month, and maybe we'll host you again. But I'm just going to use 3 years as the marker. Where will you be? Where will CMB
Good question.
lives? CMB Pro Max, CMBL Pro Max.
The next one. Version 2, 2.0.
CMBL per max. I can't say the name right now, but my biggest thing is that we will have the African continent in a better educated space for mental health, however that looks like. Because I don't know what that looks like, right? I hope that the work I'm putting in now and continue to put, especially people's stories being heard, my goal in 3 years is to have at least, hopefully, 1 million people in the continent, not just our country, where they can share their stories and feel so confident in themselves. Because I think that's the way you pay it forward in life.
Yeah.
Yes.
I share my story, then you learn something. And it's a trajectory and global consciousness we all need to have. So for me, that's what I would like to see, like transformed intentional change for people internally. It doesn't have to look big and grand. But also we'll have dope offices, of course, in 3 years.
Of course.
And it will be very, very the Silicon Valley. Actually, you will never know I'm the boss unless you're my friend.
Yeah.
Because for me, equity and equality matters, and so it's creating a safe space that looks very, very different.
Yeah.
And keeping our culture. I love being Kenyan, and I love also having the American roots I have, and also now my European roots because I lived there for 5 years. And I just carry all that with me and then make a blend of that. So it's a fresh Wanjiru Karanja juice that I want everyone to experience.
Yeah.
Final remarks, Shiro.
Final remarks.
So no question, just from your heart.
Yes.
I think for me is, first of all, thank you. This I've felt so good talking about.
Me too.
Really? It's just been so lovely.
And I think even you probably didn't know much about me.
Yes.
But I think that she feels like she didn't know stuff about me, and we've been friends for a while. But I think my takeaway in anything is also, thank you for making me feel safe.
Wow.
Thank you for creating a space that I can talk about my stuff. And also, I wish you all the best. And as you know, behind the scenes, I am a big supporter. It's going to be there.
Really
and even for people who are watching, I think it's for you to always be ready to unlearn, relearn, and learn. That is a goal of life. That I feel like everyone's purpose in life is just to be a better human being. And that takes a lot of work. So you got to unlearn the habits that are bad, relearn some things that you probably forgot, and then learn something new. That's the goal of life.
Let's stay
thank
malleable.
you, ladies. Yes.
Malleable, that's the
Yes,
word.
I love that.
Great.
Yeah, malleability. It's very important.
you.
Thank you.
Oh my
Shiro.
goodness, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. We feel so inspired, actually.
I'm
We feel
glad.
inspired.
I'm
And,
glad.
it's been amazing hearing from you. And yeah.
I don't know how we close it. Now here we're just blabbing. But I
on to
feel
the
challenged myself. I feel challenged. I feel like you just called me out, which is
But
great.
Yes.
Yes. Stay tuned
So-
for our next episode.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.